Welcome to Season 2 of Two Girls Shooting the Shit with Em and Mo. This year, we're working on that energy. Join us as we talk midlife discoveries, spiritual awakenings, pursuing passions, reconnecting with the goddess within, and a whole bunch of other shit. Make sure to follow our socials and join us on Instagram Live Tuesday nights, YouTube Live Thursday nights. If you're looking for bonus content, episode archives, or just another way to connect with us, check us out on Patreon. Thanks for all the love and support. Now let's get to it. What does the country stand for? I feel like in order to make changes or to progress, don't you have to find some selfishness, some understanding? I mean, right now we've got two major political parties, and they're just moving further and further away from each other on the spectrum here. Further to the right, further to the left, and there's no more meeting in the middle.
Yep.
Like everybody's just dug their heels in. Hey, Mo.
Hey.
Okay. How you doing?
Hanging in there. How you doing?
You know, I'm not feeling it today.
Same.
I gotta get my mind right, my energy right. I didn't get to do any yoga this morning. No meditation. I've been on a streak, and not today.
I need to get on that. I need to do some exercise because these therapists out here are not taking insurance. They're not taking no patients. Lord. I'm like, it's a mess out here. So I'm gonna have to just, focus on my physical health, and hopefully that'll help my mental health.
Yeah, I got a book. I don't know where I put it, but it's on cognitive behavioral therapy. Like I've been trying to book a therapist through Kaiser for over a year.
What?
Yes.
This is ridiculous. Like, how is this acceptable?
Almost 2 years. But here's the thing is they're outsourcing, because I mean, it's the pandemic. Everybody is like dealing with things, right? So they're probably seeking out help more than usual.
Yeah.
And whoever they're outsourcing to is not doing their job. Like I think I was supposed to expect an email, didn't get one. They called me phone tag, and then I just said, forget it. So I'm trying to read up on stuff on my own to just have a better understanding and trying to be more mindful and present. And
yep. Gotta do it.
Thing.
Well, let me know how I can support. I'm barely hanging alive myself.
Girl,
I know how it is. It's crazy. Like, dang. It's like we're in a pandemic. Yeah, we've been in one. Do your job. I got to do mine. Ain't nobody stopping me.
I think the world is just too much. There's just too much going on. Too much.
Yep. Beat me up.
Yeah, basically. I listened to one of my favorite podcasts the other day. I'm not going to name it, but it's got Mr. Bateman on it.
Oh, my boo.
I know. Woo. And they just have Michael Moore on there. And they had a really interesting conversation. And so I kind of wanted to touch on some of the stuff they talked about today, because it was kind of like a mind-blowing moment for me. Well, Michael Moore does all these, he doesn't want to call them documentaries, but these videos, right? They're pretty funny, but I mean, like Bowling for Columbine, Fahrenheit 9/11, those types of things. They're sort of about political things, sort of, and kind of just, I don't know. I enjoy his movies, whatever. But they were talking about, I don't want to say gun culture, because that seems kind of ridiculous, because I don't know if there's a culture of guns, but we just have like an obsession with guns here, maybe, or something. And mass shootings and stuff. And it got them to talking about why we have such a problem or an obsession surrounding guns, and why we suffer or tolerate mass shootings in the frequency that we do, what's going on. And I thought it would be an interesting conversation, because we talk about guns, take the guns away, that should solve it. Or mental health. Maybe if we had more mental health, we were just talking about mental health. Yeah. Maybe that would solve it. And I really don't think either of those two things are.
What is our obsession with guns? It's crazy. What is
I think Americans,
theory or hypothesis?
Well, they brought up this point that, like, when they were in Canada, there's a lot of hunters, a lot of people have guns in Canada, that type of a thing, but they don't have the amount of violence that we have. And I think it all boils down to American culture. It's who we are as a people.
Culture of violence.
It's not the guns. It's not I don't think it's mental
health.
I
already
either.
knew that. I'm a gun person. I mean, I don't have any guns,
but guns and mental health are not the issue. The issue is we're assholes. Americans are assholes.
Exactly.
We don't know how to behave. We don't care about other people. If I'm hurting, I'm going to hurt as many other people as possible instead of dealing with my hurt. Yes. And we're afraid for all this tough talk that Americans talk. We're afraid.
We're bitches. Yes. We're big ass bitches. We are
very
crybabies.
But we're afraid. What are we so afraid of? If you ask anybody about why they have, I mean, BBC, I was looking on some article. I'm talking about the British news here. Okay.
I was like, I am not afraid, baby. I am not afraid. Bring it.
I can't. Oh, girl.
So what were they talking about?
It said something about per every 100 citizens or whatever, Americans have like 120 point something guns. So many households have multiple guns, basically. Oh, Lord. I catch my breath after that. But it's just when you ask people who are very pro gun, I don't know what else to call the gun zealots, the excited gun owners, they say it's not only their right, gun enthusiasts, obviously. Yeah. But they say it's for protection. From what though?
Because we're a country founded on I mean, but all the other ones are too. So I don't know. But we're young.
But they're not. Not all of them are. I mean, we escaped a government to form our own place, right? And then we had war to do that. But I think I just like, I don't know, the whole culture. It's the culture.
Yeah, because it's like, look at Canada, and I don't know what's going on in Mexico. I know they got the cartel and stuff, but it's like, look at these places we're so close to that don't have these murder rates, as far as I know. And it's like, I remember Bowling for Columbine when Michael Moore went, just opened people's doors. Everybody's door was open. Like nobody cared.
That was in Canada and they didn't care.
And then it kind of makes me upset because it's like, is it a racial thing? Like, is it because we're so diverse that people are afraid of each other because we're so diverse? Whereas, I mean, Canada's kind of diverse. I don't know their stats, but it's not I don't think anywhere is as diverse as far as like Black people are concerned than the United States. I mean, we got Brazil, but that's a whole different thing.
A whole different culture.
Yeah.
But I think there is an underlying, or not even underlying, just a flat out culture of fear here. And I think you touched on race and diversity. And I think that's a piece of it too. Like I started thinking about it and they were talking about it on the podcast, but like government, capitalism, the way we sell things are sold through fear. Like, hey, I'm scared to be judged for my acne. So, okay, Noxzema and Oxy and all these other people who do, that's what they capitalize off of, is your fear of being excluded, not belonging, your fear of not attracting a mate, your fear of not fitting in. That's how they sell us stuff.
Yeah. Codependent Israel here in the United States. And
then the government. I mean, I think that they have really capitalized off of
the government,
terrorism. Hey, so-and-so's coming for your jobs. Yeah, if we don't do this, it's gonna, and some of the stuff, there's a healthy amount of fear, like, hey, if we don't act soon, the planet's just not gonna be here anymore, like whatever, right? But there's a huge distrust of the government when you've taken advantage of your power and making us afraid of stuff that when we should be afraid, we can't trust you because whatever. I don't know. It's the culture, American culture.
I mean, are you seeing it in your kids or in your kids' school? Like, where does it start? Like, I'm trying to think about for me. And I mean, I grew up a military brat, so that's all based on fear, like as far as protecting the government and the country and everything like that. So I don't know.
I think a lot of, I did some reading this morning to get the stats. And then I was looking at race as one of the issues. And I think that there is I think that race itself is based off of control by fear.
Yes.
And it starts with, there was slavery, then there was Jim Crow, all of that turned into, it's become an institution, right? institutionalized racism, whatever, however we want to talk about it. But the way that they were able to make all of these things happen is to paint Black men, specifically men, as dangerous. Be afraid of them. They're dangerous. They will. And it's kind of weird to think like they were slaves, and through Jim Crow, they were quote unquote controlled, by these laws. Why are you afraid if for this long you have controlled Black men, Black bodies? What is the fear? I don't understand why all of a sudden.
Maybe it's like we know we did dirty, and so now it's our we got our comeuppance.
Comeuppance, yeah. Well, part of me is kind of like, like.
See, I'm torn.
Karma?
Like,
I don't know.
Part of me is mad at the people for the January 6th, and then part of me is like, isn't that what you do? Like when you are mad at the government, like, isn't that how we were founded? Like revolutionary, supposed to be like. So it's like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I'm so confused.
I think that's this is what the great American experiment, right? Like we talk about it. I mean, and I think that this is where we're coming to a head here. We're finding problems in that they were not exercising a right, but that is what you should be able to do is to, I don't know about breaking into buildings.
Yeah, let me look up what was
trying
John
to do
Brown.
That. But I think the bigger problem is information. Like, did they have the right information? Like what? Because if you can just tell anybody, any large group of people, anything, and they feel justified in doing what they do, that's not how it should work. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like they were misled by whomever. I don't even know, and I'm not going to venture a guess. I know they're still trying to figure all that out or whatever, but they were misled. Yeah. They were fed lies, and they thought that they were fighting for their country.
Right. Does that matter? Like, I didn't look into the laws of it all, but I feel like if you think that you're doing something for constitutional rights or something, I feel like the violence and all of that's an act of war. Like, and so
or
I don't
treason.
Treason, exactly. So I don't get how they're just like, oh, you guys get 30 days probation, go on back to
here's your organic meals,
right? Here's your organic vegan. I mean, yeah, give him 5 days. That's expensive.
Yeah, we ain't paying that.
We paying for that shit. Forget that. Like, this fear, it doesn't make any sense, because it's like, what I gather from all of this fear is I have a certain quality of life and I don't want other people messing it up. But I'm like, what's that quality of life? Because generally, I guess, I don't know, like, how great is your life? Is it really that great? Maybe it is for them. They sitting here getting away with treason and stuff, but it's just like,
and murder
and whatever they want to do, they get away with it. And it's been like that over time. They're talking about the filibuster, I remember. And then Strom Thurmond is a big, like, when you talk about the filibuster, was a big person who used that. Like, what was that? Segregation or whatever. And back in the day. And he ended up having a black kid, a black daughter, and she was silent or silenced.
Oh,
Then she said, Strom Thurmond, my daddy, and then she died. It's like, damn, sis, you did us like that. She didn't have no kids though, thank goodness. Let me stop.
Stop. I don't know, but I don't want to say I'm fascinated by our quote unquote gun culture, but it's something that's very interesting to me. Why this is something that is very uniquely American. And I think the fact that it's been written into our Constitution that we have the right to bear arms, however that's interpreted, is part of it. But I also think the inception of this country was founded on violence and you can't get and fear,
Yeah, because the government could come in. I think it was like back in the day, I guess, the government, the British people could come into your house anytime they felt like it and ransack your house and things like that. So we kind of were founded on, we got to protect
what's ours.
We can to protect what's ours, because people out here coming for us.
Yeah.
But then now in like 2022, and also Strom Thurmond's daughter did have kids. So he got 4 blackish grandkids.
Blackish. Oh, Lord.
In these streets. So, but anyway, I'm sorry, I digress. But I don't know. I just feel like you would think it would come with, okay, we got to all get to know each other, live together and everything. But even that doesn't seem to be helping. Like, I don't know what's going to help people feel like, I mean, it's a natural, is it just a different version of the jungle? And the guns are our teeth? I mean, like, instead of whatever, our weapons that we have, like, I don't know. But why is it just us? Is it the amount of people like in one space? Because imagine if Europe, how diverse Europe is, if they were one country. They couldn't even do it. They couldn't even do the EU. UK already left.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we can't secede. Like, it's so difficult to secede. Otherwise, states would have been like, they keep joking about Texas.
They tried,
or Texas and California. They never secede. So it's difficult. Whereas I think it only took a few years for UK to be like, this is no thanks. Brexit.
I don't know. I mean, I don't want to go into like political theory and all this kind of stuff, because I feel like that's where my brain is going.
Why don't you?
Because as far as our Constitution, I took this one class in law school that was about property. It was a property seminar. But one of the first things we talked about, I don't know if it was Thomas Paine. I don't remember exactly the text, but it was talking about, and I know maybe it was Thomas Jefferson, talking about the Constitution. And he was saying, it's not, is it fair for us to bind future generations? Like, shouldn't each generation have a voice? Should we be able to ratify a new constitution maybe every 19 years, every whatever, vote on these things? Do we want to keep this? Is this still our code? Is this still something relevant to us? And I feel like here we are 200 and some, I don't know how many years later, and we still are adhering to rules and guidance by men who owned slaves, men who didn't believe women had a right to vote or make decisions or own property, men who couldn't possibly have conceived of an America that we have today. But for some reason we honor that Constitution, which through the years has been amended and things have been changed to kind of fit where we are. I know we need a guiding set of rules, and most of them whatever, but I think that the interpretation through the Supreme Court, the interpretation over the years, hasn't caught up yet with where we are. And I think for some reason that Second Amendment is one that nobody will touch. And I wonder why that is. And I think it's because we were created out of our self-defense, or our defense against a tyrannical government. So I think that's the fear, is we cannot touch that amendment because we'll put ourselves back in the place we were when we were in Britain. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. I mean, that's why I start going down those rabbit holes.
And I feel like I don't have any statistics, so this could be an outright lie. But there was a point where crime was going down, and then the pandemic hit, and it was something that fear. And then it's that fear again. And it's like, dang, back into the fear mindset and everything like that, back into violence going up, and this access to guns. Like, I live in Philly. There's so much violence. Last year, there were like 518 or more deaths, murders, not just deaths, murders, like people killing each other out here in these streets. And it's just like, that's enough to scare people. And then it also reinforces stereotype. And it's like, I remember in the 80s, Bush was running for president, or was it Reagan? I think it was Bush. And
88.
Yeah, when he ran that black guy who got released from prison and then went on to like rape. I forgot what he did, but he committed some other kind of crime after he was released. And they took his picture, or maybe it was the caucus. They took his picture and then made it darker, and then said, "This is the face of violence. This is why you got to vote for us, because the other party's going to let violence." Yeah,
that wouldn't fly today.
I mean, would it though? I mean, maybe it would. Like, people would talk about it, but it would. I mean,
it would probably work. It would work because you obviously. I mean, with the last election, 2016, there was a lot of fear talk. We got to take our country back. We've got to, make America great again. Like, there was a lot of, they bring their murderers, their rapists, their whatever. A lot of fear talk.
Yeah,
I think though that's. I mean, in researching some stuff, they talked a lot about work environments that are, leadership by fear. But as far as the as it applies to culture and government, there's been a shift too. Like there was a Time article that I read that talked about Pearl Harbor and FDR, and how at that time when they measured like they actually did like a measure of fear and feeling of helplessness, needing to bear arms. After Pearl Harbor, it wasn't quite a spike because there was a trust in the government, the military, the people who were supposed to be protecting us. Now, after 9/11, after these, all the terrorist attacks we've had since then, mass shootings, there is no trust in government or any other power or whatever to protect us and take care of us. So people are starting to take it upon themselves to have to take care of them and theirs. You know what I mean? So there's been a spike in guns or the feeling to defend yourself because nobody else out there is going to do it for you. And that's a problem. Yep. I mean, the way we view our government is a problem. And I don't know how to fix that.
Right? I don't know how to fix any of this stuff. This article, this U.S. News back in 2011, talking about a book called "The Better Angels of Our Nature: Why Violence Has Declined." Well, that was 2011, so that's it. But it talks about how up until the 20th century, a lot of places were in anarchy. Like there was no government or anything like that. And then also when the government
in the US,
or in the US,
all over,
like in the, like with the cowboy movies, like with the sheriff is 200 miles away. So you have to protect yourself with your gun. And it's like that. It's still in a lot of places, like, especially
the cops don't go.
Yeah. The people and proponents of a lot of this stuff live like in middle America and in places where they don't have that infrastructure in place. So,
but what's happening out there? Are people driving 50 miles from farm to farm to go like kill it? I mean, what's happening? Like,
I don't know. Remember back in the day when what was it, torts classes and stuff, people would have the spring and
the spring load. Yeah, you can't do that.
Can't do that. But like people would have it. So it's like people must have been doing stuff, pillaging. Like, I don't know.
The Hatfields and McCoys or whatever.
Then they made a good point about how in European countries, the government controlled, like they had strict control over people for hundreds of years. So by the time they were democratized, they were already able to comply because they were so used to a certain way of life. And so it's different. We never had the government, like, well, I mean, I feel like the government is strong, but we never had the government like force us to do stuff in the way that it was done in Europe and things like that.
Well, that depends on who you speak to.
That's what I'm saying. People, like for me, like, because I feel like the government has a very strong, like too strong of a hand in our lives.
That's interesting too. The podcast that I referenced earlier, they talked about that.
I gotta watch that. Listen,
the difference between Canada's culture and America's culture is the way that we view the government. And he was talking. One of the hosts of that show was talking about his father, I think. And he was like, why don't you move to the States? You can make a lot more money in the States. Like, why are you staying in Alberta or wherever he was? And it's just, he was like, well, because I owe it back to the country that built me, that made me or whatever. Like, I'm not going to leave and go. And the reason, and that's funny that you got that reaction, is the way that government is viewed from the people they were talking about in Canada is you can either view the government as they're there to help your life or they're there to run your life. And I think in America, the way we look at it is you're running my life.
Yes, big daddy government.
But without taking stock of how they are helping your life, if they are helping your life, right? Yeah. So I think that the countries that are more socialized, we'll say, and I don't like to use that word because I feel like it's used improperly.
Socialist,
yeah. But I mean, with universal, socialized medicine, let's say.
Yeah.
I mean, the way Americans view that is you're trying to control my life. Whereas some countries say that's a big help to my life. Like, you're providing healthcare, know? So it's how you look at it. And I think as part of our culture, we will never look at government as you are helping me. You are always trying to tell me what to do. And I think that's a very bratty way of living. And
the government isn't help. Who is it helping?
And that's the American way. Well, the government's helping the government.
Exactly.
We have gotten so far out, because if you think about it, the way we treat asylum seekers or whatever will tell you what type of government you have. Like, I feel like in Canada, like the prime minister has literally gone and greeted these people.
Yeah, I'm gonna go seek asylum then.
Do you know what I'm saying? Whereas here, regardless of party, we're gonna put you in a cage first. Yep. And then we're gonna, you know what I mean?
Like, call it a temporary.
Are we? But what are we doing?
I don't know.
What are we afraid of? Everybody that comes Black to people. Our borders now, we're afraid. Like, yeah. I don't know, like, how you fix this, because it's looking real like.
But the thing is, how bad is it everywhere else that people trying to come here? Because I'm trying to go somewhere else.
I don't think it's that bad everywhere. I mean, and here's the problem. You want to talk echo chambers, is I feel like we have been brought up and we still say this is the best country. Everybody wants to be here. Everybody wants this. No, but that's what.
But I want to know why everybody wants to. Why people dying? Like, how bad is it where you are that you are dying to come here and live here? Like, how bad is it?
It may not be bad overall, but it could be bad for them.
Yeah.
They may be a group that's being, you know, victims of genocide or some type. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. There's all that kind of crazy stuff over. I mean, there's stuff like that over here too.
We don't have that overt, you know. Yeah. Like, we have it more covert, I guess, here in the United States.
Yeah.
Ain't that some shit? I said, ain't that some shit? Oh, ain't that some shit? Ain't that some shit? Goddamn.
So today, on an unrelated note, can we talk about Kanye? Yay! What is going on? So for those of you who don't know, right now what's happening is Kanye West is posting on Instagram and then taking it off. He's posting content related to Pete Davidson and Kim K. That's the last I'm gonna say of that name. Focusing more on Kanye. Why is he posting to social media about his wife, and her new supposed lover or love interest? Why is he on the internet posting about that to the public? Make it make sense. Does he think that he could bully her into wanting him back? And then the last one that I saw was kind of disturbing. It was an image of Tyrese in a chokehold from Baby Boy, the movie. And it said something to the effect of, now, don't you go and do anything, people. Now, in my opinion, this all is a publicity stunt, right? It gets us talking about it. It gets us, it becomes part of the zeitgeist. That's all we've been hearing for, 2-3 months, is this Pete Davidson and all this stuff. Kanye West, it'll make you maybe want to go buy some shoes or go buy some music. Maybe go look at Saturday Night Live, I don't know. But anyway, it's influencing the culture. And people don't really care. People do not care about whether something is a PR stunt. If they see a call to action, they'll act. So if Kanye West is making jokes about not hurting, in quotation marks, not hurting Pete Davidson, and someone goes out there and does it, who's responsible? I mean, I think the person who does it is, but why? Like, what's the end goal here? I always ask myself that. What is the end goal in Kanye's behavior? Is it really to get his wife back when he has all of these new women, or at least one that he's videotaping himself with? So is that really the concern, or is it just to keep us in his mouth, to get that attention that he craves and desires? Let us know. But on a real note here, is Kanye okay? And I think we all know the answer to that is no. And while people are out here making memes, sharing memes, laughing, ha ha ha, I am sick of Hollywood. This is typical behavior. This is unacceptable. There's obviously something wrong. There's some mental health issues that are being unaddressed, and people are making fun of it, making light. And then everyone thinks it's all fun and games until someone ends up deceased. And then all of a sudden, oh, I wish I just could have helped. I wish I just could have done this. I wish I just could have done that. How many times have we heard that same story? And that's the thing, the fickle nature of Hollywood and the way they treat people depending on the weather of the day is sad. I don't know, again, I don't know if this is a publicity stunt, but this man needs help. For all y'all laughing and making fun and thinking that this is just a hoo-ha good time, if something happens to this man or anyone else, that's on you. That's on you. But I was looking at the Canada stats, Dang. This is 2016 though, and the estimate is not up that far. So it says like European was 72.9%. And
of
then
what? Gun owners?
No, a racial makeup of this country. And then like African origin is only 3.5%. And I hate this because it makes it look like something to do with the African origin of people, which we're declining. The Black people are going down. Like I think it used to be 12% and now it's what, 10 or something. So
that's not what white people will say.
Because
I think that's a huge but that's a huge point. That's a huge point that's being made in like racial conversations, in articles I've read, in like videos I've seen and stuff, is that along with fear, that is one of the fears, is they're not going to be the majority race anymore, especially within the United States.
So yeah. And why is that? What is the fear?
I think power comes in numbers, right? I mean, and I don't know why we need to have power, or like I don't understand the need for, I don't know. I don't know what the deal is. Like, I don't know.
It's just like that. I always talk about it, but it's like that Jane Goodall when she says, okay, raise your hand if you want to be Black for a day or something like that, and nobody raises their hand because you know better. You know the shit that you're doing. And you know how you mistreating people, and you know how you set up systems in place to mistreat people, and you don't want to feel that. You don't want to feel the pain that you have inflicted on everybody else. That's
you don't want to give up.
You know your ass is wrong.
Or even if you aren't a party to, overtly doing this or whatever, you are benefiting from a system in which this is happening, and you don't want to give up your benefit.
Exactly. You don't want to give up
even if
benefits.
your intentions, even if you aren't, perpetrating whatever, you are part of a system, and you don't want to lose the upper hand in that system. And that reminds me of Chris Rock. You don't want to switch. He said, there isn't a white person in here that would switch places with me, and I'm rich.
I remember that.
It's like, I thought that was funny.
But it's true.
But if we can't agree on that premise, just that basic whatever, then we can never have a real conversation about race with people of all races. Like if we can't come to the same, if we can't come to the same understanding that, hey, like things were effed up when we started this country, and all they've done is moved underground. We've institutionalized things. We've made it mainstream so you don't realize what's happening, but we still have a problem. If we can't even acknowledge the problem, then there's no hope.
Is it just too many people? Because I feel like if we focus on community, to me at least, if I focus on unity and community, I would have a stronger country, because I have people who are just willingly wanting to improve the country, wanting to improve themselves, wanting to improve everything that the country stands for. And so that's what I don't understand. Like, what is it about this division that, I guess, like you said, it's just that comfort zone. I wouldn't know, because I'm not in that comfort zone.
What does the country stand for? I feel like in order to make changes or to progress, don't you have to find some selfishness, some understanding? I mean, right now we've got two major political parties, and they're just moving further and further away from each other on the spectrum here. Further to the right, further to the left, and there's no more meeting in the middle.
Yep.
Like everybody's just dug their heels in. And so now we can't, even though both sides, bringing it back full circle to guns, agree that there should be more regulation or more oversight on the purchase of guns in this country, they both agree, but they can't seem to do anything about it because they can't be seen to agree with each other. That's something that President Biden said in his last address. He said that there are, Republicans that he's worked with for decades, because the man's been there for like forever. But there are Republicans who have said, hey, I agree with you on this and I want to work with you on that, but I can't because I'll get primaried. When that is what's going through their minds, they shouldn't be there. Yeah. And that shouldn't be the culture.
Because that's selfish.
And not only that, but you shouldn't have somebody like Trump who's like, I'm a primary you if you don't stick to the line.
Primary.
Like, yeah. No, but I mean, the idea that if you don't vote the way, and that's scary, because that's money and influence in the hands of one man, right? And he is basically saying, and he's got the Republican Party by the ball sack. That's nasty. But basically, if you don't do what we are saying to do, I will put somebody up against you, and I'll back them with my money and my influence, and you'll be out of there.
Yep.
So, and the government shouldn't be run like that.
It shouldn't have, but the government is run by corporations who are people.
Who are people. Thanks, Citizens United. Thank you for that.
Yeah, it's just a mess. It's just like a game, and we have to all sit here and play dumb. Like, and it's just sad because that's another thing. The whole, I don't even know. I can't even begin. But I know there's been a whole bunch of voting rights stuff lately.
Yes. Yep.
And it's like, what's going on with that? Like all these laws that are coming out, like that are making it more restrictive and prohibitive for people to be able to vote. And then I think the Voting Rights Act expired at some point. I don't even remember.
Why are we trying to do that? Why are we trying to restrict
the
right to vote? Yeah, I know why. You know why. But like, what are they saying? There's cheating going on?
Yeah, they're trying to say that people who don't have the right to vote are voting.
Like
pretty
who?
much. Like people who aren't registered to vote, even as simple as that. People who aren't registered to vote. And I'm like,
I think there should be an automatic registration. You turn 18, you're registered. Yeah. Period. Through the DMV or whoever. You turn 18.
You grown, you vote. Yeah.
You vote. Period.
Put your finger. I don't know why we have to. I don't care.
Why do we have to create? Why it shouldn't be that hard. And the fact that it's that hard shows me that people are trying to control, sometimes by fear, like these people are taking dead people's ballots and putting them in the mail, and people are 5-6 votes, whatever. Like, and Republican Party, you haven't won a popular vote
that's
in decades.
Good point. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So that's why you're worried about your gerrymandering and your redlining and all this stuff, because you don't have the numbers, period.
And it's so basically it all everything we're saying keeps boiling back down to my status quo, my way of life is threatened. So I have to do whatever I have to do. I don't care who gets hurt along the way, as long as my quality of life is maintained.
And they're doing that by fear. Is you talked about the corporations are the ones running the country. It's whoever has the money, right? So the corporations, the heads of the corporations. And somehow, through fear, they have managed to tell the working class people to vote for their interests, not for the corporation's interests, not their own, which is amazing to me. Is like, if you are not making any money,
you're sitting here broke, worried about Black people. You know, like it's just like, what? We ain't the one taking your money, brah.
Right? Thank you.
But that's what they will believe to the death.
Because they're afraid. Because these corporations have created a culture of fear. And I think that goes the other way too. I think progressives use fear as well.
Oh, definitely. Always.
For sure. You know, if we don't keep pushing, the Green New Deal, or if we don't push these initiatives for this, look what our country's going to turn into. They're going to, it's all over. And I'm longing for the days where people used to meet in the middle.
I don't know if it'll ever, because now we're in this pandemic and it makes it so much worse, because like violence is going up, everything is going up, fear is going up, people don't even believe
it's real.
Yeah, people don't know what to believe. So it's just like, how is this just an academic bullshitting exercise? Because I feel
that's what it is. That's what it is. That's what this is. Welcome to Two Girls Shooting the Shit with Em and Mo.
Hey.
Nothing will come of this. And I'm sure this conversation happens often with us. It does. And with my husband, we have these conversations. We don't as often as we used to.
Because at a certain point, it's like,
for what? You're banging your head against the wall.
Yeah. What's the point? Ain't shit's gonna change. It's just making my blood pressure high.
Not the blood pressure. But it's just, it's scary. And I mean, at the very least, it would be nice to find a way to stop the division from spreading, stop the divide from getting wider.
Wider.
Stop. Wider. Before people start coming for me. But just, we always talk about it. It's always like on our hearts. It's just like, why can't we just care about each other and do what's best for everybody? Why can't we all just
get along?
Rodney. No, but there's got to be a way if we all just sat down and talked about it. It's like, put your politics in your pocket, leave it alone. What is the best thing for the most people? Like, you look at all these, I mean, we're going to talk about this probably next week, but the school board meetings and things like that, you can't even get people to talk about what's best for their children and come to the same agreement, or what's best for your community, much less your country. It's like, how do we do that if we can't sit down and be civil and just listen to each other, disagree politely, and then say, okay, we disagree, but how do we fix it?
We're stuck in like let's work
impasse. Oh, I said, let's work together and fix it. I feel like
like that's like basically like that's what you would do in a family, in a household, right? So why can't we just make that, like, why can't we act like that? And I think it's like we're stuck in this state of perpetual adolescence.
Money
in the United
too.
States.
Money.
Yeah. It's all me. What is it? Me first and the gimme. That's like,
oh, hey, me first and the gimme. I've never heard that before.
States. You know, and it's just like
transaction. You always say transactional things are and I think this is another thing that is transactional. I'm not giving you anything until you can give me something back. Yep. And we can't. It's that pie idea. It's that coming from a place of lack. Like if like there's not enough for everybody, and I've got it right now, and I'm not giving it up kind of attitude.
And I kind of understand, because when you look at the way the United States is set up, the big cities do have a lot of power compared to the towns. I mean, that would make sense though, because who's in the big city? The big corporations and stuff anyway. And so the people in the small towns do need to have a say, but it's like nobody's saying they're going to take away or say. You're still the majority of the freaking country, like these in
land, not in numbers.
I'm just talking about racially, like, and like not even looking at party or any things like that. I was listening to something today talking about how, what is it, the voting rights or the Build Back Better, one of those, right?
Oh boy,
I don't even know what that is. Don't get me lying.
No, that's Biden's plan. Yeah,
mess. Plan. But how Democrats have people who are on the fence, whereas Republicans are all on board. Republicans have figured out a way to all be aligned in what they want to do. So it's basically being rigid and saying, like you said earlier, I'm not shifting my vote. I'm not shifting my beliefs. And you have Democrats who kind of vacillate.
You've got two who are holding out. I don't know are Democrats. I'm really not thinking you're a Democrat. I mean, Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema, I don't think they're Democrat. I mean, they may be Democrats in name, but they are not voting Democratic ideals. They are not supporting. I mean, I don't know what they're doing.
Like for the Joe Manchin, someone was saying how Joe Manchin, you can't really figure him out because he's always changing his perspective or his opinion on stuff. And it's like, who's paying him? Like, follow the money. I mean, that's going to tell you everything. Let's follow the money. Follow the dough.
I'm curious about that.
His
not enough to look it up, but I'm curious about
his constituents.
Somebody tell us.
Are they happy? Like, is he doing his job? Because one thing I will say is I do not believe in rigidity. I do believe people need to have some kind of flexibility and to see another perspective.
Yes.
That's something that the Republicans don't have, but they will. And I always say this, and I'm just so impressed. And I don't care.
Shit done.
Because they get shit done. Republicans don't do.
Doesn't matter how. Yeah, it doesn't matter how either. That's the scary part, but they do get it done. I think the Democrats they're too busy trying to be the moral high ground here.
Yeah.
We're gonna throw or Al Franken, you got to go because you did X, Y,
like
and
Al
Z.
Franken.
Meanwhile, we got Trump in the, you know what I mean? Like, they're trying to set an example. They're cutting off your nose to spite your face or whatever it is. Like, it's just quit being so, I'm sorry, Michelle, but we don't need to go high all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you want to get stuff done, if you're playing in an unfair, situation, then you need to get down and dirty too and get things done. Otherwise, it's not going to get
strategy. Done. You have to use strategy.
Strategery.
Yes. And it's like, come on, people. You guys are sitting here complaining and just like they're like throwing what do you call those things? Snow globe. Like, I feel like they just shake up the snow globe, but they don't get nothing done. Like, they don't get anything done. They pull at your heartstrings. They pull at your emotions. And at the end of the day, they don't get shit done.
No.
Like, I agree. What is your job?
No job. And what is your job and why you been there for 40 years?
And then
that's my other thing. Can we get some new blood up in here?
Yeah. Why are we voting for them?
because people like us aren't running. Who's running?
Because we want to
have no new blood.
Trying to run.
Because too many of us have skeletons in our closet. I would love to be in politics. I would love to be a something. I would love it.
I feel like we're at the stage where, I mean, what skeleton can you have? Everybody's done. I mean, we got murder and we got everything. So, I mean, if you want to be in politics, you can be.
You need money.
But you need money and you need that buy-in.
Influence.
And you basically are going to be somebody else's puppet. So it's like, whose puppet do you want to be?
Yep.
And I think that's for me, because I was one of those kids who wanted to be president, but I think that was more like megalomania, you know, like
I mean, that sounds about right. To be president, you've got to be
right. But now I'm like, I don't want to do that, but I do want to support people who would make a change. And honestly, I don't know, even in my own community, the freaking representatives litters around the community throwing Zoom call flyers all over the ground. And then when I reached out to them to ask about it, they said, oh, I'm going to talk to them. And it's like, first of all, why are you sending? I could understand saying, okay, we have a lot of elderly people, so here is some information, but you're not even putting it in a place where it's not getting thrown all over the ground. So you're contributing to litter. You probably spent thousands of dollars or hundreds of dollars to print this mess up. And then when I asked, how can I get involved? You just shunned me. And then I even wrote them on Instagram on a public comment, and he gonna like the comment. And I'm just like, okay, you know what? You're trash. Like, I don't want to deal with you. I will never vote for you. Ooh. Nothing. Like, and it's like, but this will continue to go on. That person will continue to move up in the ranks because there's no accountability
and there's no challenge. I think there need to be viable options. I mean,
viable.
And I don't know who agrees with this or not. I don't care, but I think there should be term limits. You can't be up in government serving for 50 years. This can't be the only job you've ever had in your life. Yeah. Like, you can't do that. Like, that doesn't work. Because you have the same crusty old ideals. Well, if you get rid of it, who's going to interpret the Constitution when these cases go all jacked up?
That's true. We need to remodel it then.
Something has to be done.
The way it's working, like, these people need to be like a 5-year term or 4. They need to be on term with the president or something. I mean, then we're going to get into electing judges, then it's going to get.
But then one of the things for life, though, is you get them to make decisions without fear of losing their job. And I think that's maybe historically was the idea, that you can be honest with, you know, your interpretation and you can make the tough decisions without fear of any type of retribution. Mm-hmm. But if you make it that way,
it's the same.
I mean, I don't know.
I feel like for me, it's the same, because what happens now is we elect a president who then appoints a justice based on their beliefs, like that whatever they believe in. So it's just secondary. It's just that now we're just bringing it to the forefront. But I have no idea, because there's so many decisions based in there. It's just a political echo chamber right now. It's nothing but people voting in people. And I was so shocked. I think that was the first time I ever saw that. Or not in recent times, at least. What happened? I got to look it up.
Oh,
something happened last week.
The archives, the records for January 6th, the Supreme Court voted 8-1, with Justice Thomas being the only one, not agreeing or whatever.
What
Say
a good
what you
boy.
want about that.
A good boy.
Good old boy. Yep.
Good old boy. I got a pat on your head there. You want some watermelon too, Bobo?
Oh, stop.
He a good boy.
But yeah, so they voted, to release all those records, which I agree with. I think whatever records we have, whoever's records, there's no.
Why should it have to go to the Supreme Court?
Because he kept contesting it, claiming executive privilege.
I can't wait to find out.
What's in there?
Right?
What's in there? If you really care about this country and you want to know what the hell happened, why they had full understanding of the tunnels and the hallways and where offices were, somebody was helping them.
He was dancing. I don't think he cared.
Somebody was organizing this. That takes a lot of money to bankroll it, because all these people didn't pay their own way and do their own thing. So there was I want to know information. Who was planning this? What platform did they use to conspire? Because that's the word, conspire, conspiracy. I want to know all that. Put everybody's business out there. I want pictures. Yes. I want phone numbers. I want to see what.
That's how messages. I feel about this Epstein stuff. People why do people feel
forgot about it? It's
Why
done.
do people get gasoline or whatever her name is? Like she got
gasoline.
convicted. So now it's fine. But they went anybody on TV, anybody in politics, they were hanging around all those people and birds of a feather flock together.
Bill Clinton.
So what did
Prince
they do?
Andrew, Donald Trump.
What did they do? And now why they trying to get like Prince Andrew? But what about the other people? And some of them, like what was the guy at Stanford who was, I think he even admitted to raping people. And then they were just like, the judge was like, he's got so much potential. We can't. Oh,
Brock Turner or something. He was a swimmer.
And what he doing? He probably rich as hell. Let me see.
Yeah, he only got like, I don't know what. Could you imagine being the woman that he assaulted? Could you imagine? And he's got such a promising future. Oh, don't get me started on that. That's a whole right. And that's fear, and that's race-based as well. Because had Brock been a black football player, would his future have been as promising, or would he be under the prison?
Cooling technology company.
That's where he
getting
works?
$12 an hour. I don't believe that. That's some scam stuff.
$12 an hour.
Yeah, that's some scam business.
Who is graduate? Okay, and this may sound some kind of way from me. I don't know.
He could start a podcast.
But who is graduating from Stanford making $12 an hour?
Yeah, that's to make people feel good while he getting funded probably by some big wigs and stuff.
GoFundMe's like what's his face?
Yeah, like that guy from
Rittenhouse,
Trayvon Brown too. That they were
Trayvon Martin.
Yeah, the one who George Zimmerman. Yeah, he was getting finance for a long time. I think it took him like punching a girl or something.
His in-law. Okay, this is the racial thing I'm not understanding either. Is why did people have his back? What are you supporting?
Guns again. Guns. Daddy, my cold dead hand.
I mean, I really, in that situation, I'm thinking this kid was 16, 17 years old. He may have got the jump on him. He may be bigger. He may be stronger, whatever. What happened to people just fighting it out? You get your ass beat, you get your ass beat. Leave him alone.
I think literally,
why can't people fight?
This black people are going to kill you. I think that's the thought.
With their bare hands?
Yeah.
Like then leave us alone. Leave us alone.
Right.
How about that? Leave this child. This boy
is y'all the one bothering
us, right? We don't care. We just trying to live like everybody else.
Trying to live, but then you don't say, oh, like look at this violence increase, and it's like it's black on black though. Like they're not killing you, they killing each other, and that's a problem in itself. And I feel like they're doing, in a way, they are almost like it's set up for them to do that, and it's not like there's like this. I'm not anti-law enforcement. I'm not one of those ACAB people or anything like that. I actually believe in law enforcement, but I just don't see it being enforced. You can look it up. But it's I'm not. But it's just like those all statements, and it's just like, how are you gonna say all cops this, all cops that? And it's just like,
I get it. Okay, now I know.
Yeah,
you could have just said it.
And
why you do that?
Yeah, it's not gonna. But yeah, it's just like, why do they think like that, and why do they say that? Like, I don't believe that. Like, I believe that law enforcement should enforce the laws,
right?
And that's something you don't see. And they're not doing anything. That's the problem. Like, I'm not mad about law enforcement doing their jobs. I'm mad they're not doing their job and focusing on like finding problems where there is none, or making up stuff, putting people in jail for no reason when you got murders to solve and prevent them from happening in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And all of these things, and it comes down to community in a sense of self. But when we're all living in fear and we're afraid of each other, there's never going to be community. The church is a joke, no offense, these days, a lot of places. And it's like everything has changed. All these things that we had in place in communities to kind of bring people together.
Yeah. We are less connected IRL in real life than ever now. I mean, you can live somewhere and not know your neighbors, not know. People could be dead in their house for 2-3 weeks. You wouldn't know because you don't ever talk to your neighbor, so.
Yep. How sad is that?
That's what happens. You're living in fear. We're afraid. So we don't want to connect because we're afraid. We don't trust anybody.
Mm-hmm. I mean, people don't know how to act. Like,
I mean, I don't know how to act, so.
I know I don't, but I know how to deal with people. But it's just
I don't even know how to do that.
I just don't want to. Leave me alone. I'll leave you alone,
Well, I mean, this
Should be
isn't a
that
problem
easy.
we're gonna solve.
Yeah, I give up.
It's been fun to throw
I'm
it
mad
around.
talking about it.
I know,
Oh, well.
right? Whatever. If you want a gun, have your gun. If you want to put 12 locks on your door, you know, do you, I guess.
Do y'all live in fear? And yeah, could pass it down along the generations.
Keep everybody getting paid. I think fear pays people.
Fear is one of the core things in controlling people. Like in controlling
Absolutely.
you got to have a fear in it. And then bye. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Bye, girl. I'm just kidding.
All right. I'm done talking about this anyway. So
yeah.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Two Girls Shooting the Shit with Em and Mo. Please enjoy this mindful moment. You must realize that fear is not real. It is a product of thoughts you create. Do not misunderstand me. Danger is very real, but fear is a choice.